So John, what I'd love to have you do is go ahead and you've prepared a few slides to get everyone on the same page as to what ICF actually is. And then I'd really like to just open it up to questions. Think of some possibilities of how we might use our ICF membership because we're a member, the community has invested, the city and the county has invested in ICF membership. So really, how can we take greatest advantage of it? So John, over to you.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much, and I'm happy to meet everybody. I wasn't able, obviously, to see everybody who's around the table. I know Marg and home, so happy to reconnect. And I've been asked to talk a little bit about ICF, the Intelligent Community Forum. I'm going to give you a global perspective, what we do, who we are, what we have connected to over the past almost 30 years. A little history. We started off through what is known as the World Teleport Association and the um, uh, uh, World Trade Centers, actually. So it was a mixture of those two boards out of New York City. We've had an organization called the Smart Cities Institute, and that created a conference back in 1995 called Smart 95. And we had 1,200 people come to that. A lot of them architects, planners, technologists, ICPs, and so forth. Uh, Different people who were interested in learning a little bit about what new cities of the future were going to be and how they're going to come together. And at that time, we were defining them as smart cities. Others were calling them wisdom cities, like they talk about that in Korea and elsewhere. But eventually, our board at that time, through the World Teleport Association and the World Trade Center, said, it's not just about smart cities. There's more to it, and it has to do with people. So we've looked at this conference called Smart 95. A whole number of mayors from different cities got together afterwards and said, this is more than just a conference. This is a movement. Could you guys kind of pull it together and see what we can come together on it? So the Smart Cities Institute took it forward, but we renamed it the Intelligent Community Forum. And in 1999 is when we actually started to move forward with it in an aggressive way with a number of awards that we started to hand out. And Singapore was the first city. In 1999, we held our first conference then as the Intelligent Community Forum in New Orleans. It was then from there on, a whole number of different awards were created. There was the Intelligent Community of the Year, the top seven, and then eventually we formed the Smart 21, which some of you, of course, have been involved with in the last couple of years. So what I'm going to do is take you through a couple of slides that I'm going to try and share here with you. So the Intelligent Community Forum, our mission is to help communities basically share best practices, urban solutions in a variety of different areas, digital transformation, innovation, community development. Uh, Obviously, what the whole goal is to create a higher quality of life in our communities and to share the best practices and learn from them. So we have developed a whole series of programs and initiatives, everything from conferences to training modules to delegations and so forth. And the goal is in creating prosperity, resiliency, and social equity in these communities. And we help through developing contacts throughout the globe. Uh, some of your people already had that experience in Vietnam and Taiwan. Opportunities now coming forward in Columbus. Uh, we also help communities in developing their brand and building credibility and also creating that valid experience within the community so that they know what is going on and why they're supporting it. We look at communities in terms of scale, both at the small and rural community level, mid-size, as well as extremely large communities. And we try to look at them across the board because we know that you can learn from all of those communities, not just from the ones that are your own size. We provide brand opportunity, and that is often done through developing global exposure. We provide a window to the world for a number of the communities who would like to get out but don't have the curation capabilities to do it themselves. So we help to do that. And it creates opportunities for not only learning from a planner's point of view, but also from an economic developer's perspective. So opportunities for exchange, trade, investment attraction, all of those are possibilities through us. Obviously, Bob and Nahom and Marg and Troy and others have been able to share that in previous conversations. And you can see pictures here of a number of our delegations, our activities and meetings around the world, presentations, and so forth. Currently, we have over 220 intelligent communities around the world that we have recognized in one form or another. We have them as Smart 21 communities, top 7 communities, intelligent communities of the year, and now also certified communities. And so we'll have somewhere closer to 250 as we move forward. The areas that we focus on, 6 key factors, half on economic development and the other half on sort of people growth, social and cultural advancement. It started off when we talked about smart cities. It started off talking about high-speed broadband and how broadband connectivity actually helped as a foundation for communities' economic growth. Uh, as we went from smart cities to the intelligent community movement, we added 5 additional factors. Started off with the question of, well, you need to have not only smart systems, but you need to have the smart people to be able to deal with those systems. So knowledge work was very important, and creating the opportunities through not only K to 12 and training colleges, but research in universities and creating that unique essence of how to take the knowledge work and create startups and other business opportunities from there. Once you have smart people and you have smart systems and smart cities, uh, that creates opportunities for innovation. And that innovation helps to create growth through innovation partnerships, smart city investments, the startup systems, and so forth. Moving into the community factors, it's from a people first design perspective that the smart city moves into the intelligent community movement, usually through 2 key areas. One is through engagement of people in the community who use those tools to create opportunities in their communities. And the other one is making sure that what people used to refer to as the digital divide is actually pulled together by involving everyone in the whole digital transformation aspect. So digital inclusion is another factor. Eventually, we also created opportunities for sustainability and resiliency conversations. A little harder to compare one city and community to another around some of those factors, but sustainability was an important piece that we brought into the discussion. And it basically has really opened up opportunities for economic development, but also ensuring improvements in quality of life and so forth. We're now also really focused on the newer trends, artificial intelligence. We've been involved with the Internet of Things for many, many years. Uh, Tomorrow, I'm speaking with the Urban Robotics Foundation on the topic of how to bring autonomous vehicles and particularly what they call public mobile robots into communities and have them perform advantageous things for the community. And how do you deal with introducing them so that they are not an intrusion, but actually a part of the community? So here are the kinds of things that we do. We're a think tank. We bring together people from all around the world who have ideas around the whole aspect of digital transformation and city building as we move forward, community development as well as economic development. We're a global network with over 220 communities now, plus certified cities, as well as members. We have a number of member organizations, partners, and even individuals who are part of our whole member association. And we have a large global jury, over 100 jury members who are from institutions, auditors, and many others who work with us around the world. We've developed ICF nations, for instance, ICF Canada and ICF Taiwan. We're looking at creating nations in other parts of the world. We are also involved with developing institutes. We have institutes in Canada, uh, one in the Columbus area. We have them in evolving in Vietnam. We have potentially two institutes. We have one right now in Taiwan, and we'll probably have another one in Taiwan. We're about to launch one in actually two in Brazil. That's in the works as well, which is another area of potential interest for you because we have in Brazil an evolving institute that's going to focus on small communities, small and rural communities. Uh, and I'm also going to be speaking with Yunlin when I'm visiting there in September. Yunlin is a small part of Taiwan that's focused on rural communities, but very innovative and digitally transformed communities that are really small. Okay. So we also have a community accelerator, which is a training program that Robert Bell has been putting together for many years. Uh, Robert also undertakes assessments. So communities are given an idea of how they stand on a global basis. We certify communities as provisional and as full community members. I just finished one in Malaga, Spain. Excuse me. We do workshops around the world. We're just completing an assignment in British Columbia for a community there. We have a number of publications that we produce, uh, journals, reports, books, and so forth. Many of us have gone on global speaking engagements, TED talks. We've been involved with um, APEC. We've even spoken to the Nobel Peace Prize winners in Oslo at their gathering. We have taken a number of ICF VIP delegations around the world. Fairfield has participated in those as well. And we do podcasts and we do conferences. We have a summit coming up in Columbus that Paul can speak to as well. We have not only the conference, but we'll have an awards program for the Intelligent Community of the Year, as well as extended VIP delegation program that will take us into some of the communities that have evolved as intelligent communities, both as Smart 21 and as Top 7. And Columbus also was an Intelligent Community of the Year. So it's been an active area in central Ohio. Um, Facilitated, by the way, by the ICF Institute out of Dublin, as well as now the support by the Beta district area and so forth. We have a lot of affiliations and partner organizations in the private sector, everything from legal to ISPs and many others who have participated with us, but also economic development organizations, for instance, EDAC in Canada, the Economic Development Association of Canada, and the Economic Development Australia. We also have connections into uh, economic development organizations in Europe and the United States and so forth. A number of organizations that we work with include the Urban Robotics Foundation. I mentioned I'm speaking with that group tomorrow in a webinar. Um, Global organizations like My Livable City out of Mumbai, India, and uh, out of Amsterdam. E-Tree, which is out of Taiwan, Bakemex, which is from Vietnam, Babel, which is in Europe, as well as IPO and so forth. So we're very well positioned around the world to make connections, but also to work in a variety of projects and programs with them. We mentioned the Global Institute for the Study of the Intelligent Community out of the city of Dublin. We have the Institute in Taiwan and an institute in Canada that will probably wind up now not only in Atlantic Canada, but in Ontario, probably in Kingston. We've undertaken a number of major programs with these institutes, including developing the Aerotropolis development for the international airport in Taiwan in Taoyuan. Taiwan. We've helped to initiate programs in other cities as well, including the work that Dublin did in bringing together many communities in central Ohio, um, which has been quite advantageous. We do 3 awards. Mentioned Smart 21. It was held in Curitiba, excuse me, held in Curitiba most recently. We will be holding the next Smart 21 event in Taipei when we are there for the Smart City program next March. We just did the top 7 Intelligent Community of the Year in Brightlands. Bob and Home and Troy and Mark can speak more to that. And the next one is in Columbus. We hope to see many of you there at the Intelligent Community of the Year Award on October 15th. This year's Smart 21 are listed here. You can see that Fairfield, Jefferson County is one of them. We then went to top 7, and here's the list of the top 7 for 2026. And we'll find out who the Intelligent Community of the Year is moving forward. Now, we've been involved with many cities doing a variety of different things. We've helped to support community development of all scales and sizes. Toronto, we were there for over a decade helping on the Toronto waterfront. They called it the Intelligent Waterfront for many years. And now it's pretty much developed, and new parks and places have occurred. We had one little hiccup. Google came in and they wanted to create a small section called Sidewalk Labs, which went sideways actually, and we had sort of infamous results that occurred. They eventually left during COVID, which was a good thing. Um, but that was a very famous part of the development. Our work in Waterloo region evolved into the Toronto Waterloo Tech Corridor, and a number of other programs in that whole area. obviously Columbus through the work of the Dublin Institute and the work that they did in bringing together many communities in central Ohio. And so forth. And obviously, we're doing work now in Taiwan and Vietnam. We're going to be moving into India, have a program there in January that I'd like to welcome all of you to. I can speak more to that if you're interested, and so forth. We've been involved with, as I said, with Taiwan in a variety of ways. Eindhoven, developing with them their triple helix, which they then took to Bindong in Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, and since 2016 have developed that whole area as a smart city, then as an intelligent community and so forth. We're doing work in various places in Brazil and in the Sunshine Coast in Australia, as well as other places in Australia. And so there you go. I hope this little journey around the intelligent community movement has been useful, and I look forward to the conversation. So I'll stop sharing if I can. Let's see how you do that.
Let's see here. I think if you can find out how to release that, otherwise I will do it.
Yeah, can
Stop
see.
share button
Yeah, there should be a stop share button, but
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
at the top, usually.
There it is.
okay.
No, that didn't work.
Let me see if I can find it.
It's in the lower right of the screen. Typically, it's a red button that just says stop share.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can stop your share.
Oh, there's one. It's up on
Yeah.
top.
Okay, there we go. Good.
Yeah.
All right.
You have to kind of search around for it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. That was a pretty good comprehensive view of what you all do around the world. So let's talk about Fairfield, because you're talking about some pretty big areas. On the other hand, we're working with Açaí in Brazil, which is only about 15,000 people. Now, they have more challenges than we have because they used to have 200,000. So they shrank to about 9,000, built back to 15,000. So I would invite anyone either on, virtually or here. Let's throw a question out or an idea to John that might have been stimulated by what he said about how we can practically utilize these principles for developing us. So anyone have any gambit to start us off with?
I can start out with just a query of you, John. I mean, at the end of the day, I think what I see that is really heartening is one, a global network, which is entirely aligned with the reality on the ground of Fairfield because of the role of the university and the international scope of the TM organization. So it's a very encouraging but possible affiliate partner activity here. And what really though I think we're up against in many ways is what I would call a need for technical assistance. How do we take this passion? And I think most of all of us at the table see the pieces of the Fairfield experiment, but how to weave them into that synergistic move into more coherence. And I don't, I would imagine along the way, in your experience with ICF, you've seen this process happen with communities where because of greater collaboration and dialogue, boom, traction happens. And you start seeing really material results from the effort. So I'm curious what sort of, based on what you know about Fairfield, what sort of technical assistance would you see as being key to our progress?
Yeah. So, we don't pretend to know everything through a virtual screen.
Sure.
So most of the time, what we recommend is that if you're really looking for support, a curated approach to pulling together a strategy, a way of working, and so forth, um, invite us to come down and be part of a workshop. From that workshop, a strategy could be built that you built. It's, co-designed with us, and we can provide a framework by which you can evolve your community's various aspirations, all the things you actually do. We set up, people down to do a review of your community through the Top 7 event. Uh, that's a very short 2-day look to validate what you guys are doing. Excuse me, I've had a cold. My suggestion would be really about taking a day or two, build a workshop, build an opportunity for one of our auditors, somebody like Robert Bell, to spend a day or two with you. Uh, he's an excellent person to do a workshop. He can pull together not only different perspectives that are in your community, but also then write a report that gives you a proper framework to move forward. And within that, if you have other technical needs, we do have people who have experience in the whole sort of smart city aspects, the technical aspects. Uh, Rob McCann is a person who has built Clear Cable, which was just bought up by Rogers, um, and has all the technical skill sets. He can join in virtually or on site as part of that workshop. But that's the direction I would recommend you take.
Okay.
And even before that, some of you are looking at, I think, uh, the accelerator training modules that we have available. So that can help pull together at least some thinking at your end before a workshop occurs.
Good. Bob and Connie, I'm thinking about the Go Green Commission that, showed up around 2008 and the role of the Institute for Decision Making in facilitating that whole strategic planning process. But it seems like there might be an opportunity to do an equivalent workshop with ICF.
Well, I think that's, your question, I think is a good question. It's kind of where I was going to is that workshop include a lot of our major employers?
Who's that directed to?
That's Mayor Connie.
That's to you.
To you, John.
Yeah,
So
to you.
say that again. What was
So, so a workshop, would that include a lot of our major employers?
Of course. So the way Bob described it is our methodology is called the triple helix or the quadruple helix approach. What that means is the public sector, the private sector, the institutions, and the citizen in general. So you can start off by having a person visit and meet all these different people in their various environments, uh, various employers, Bill at the university and so forth, and others, and then bring them together in a workshop forum. Again, part of that is to draw out from all of you what your key areas of interest are in evolving your community from an intelligent community perspective, and then have Robert Bell or somebody like him, we have others, who can help to curate a program that you can go by moving forward. So that would include not only workshop materials, but actually a report with recommendations on moving forward that you then would react to and help to finalize.
Mhm.
John, quick question from my side. When we were in Vietnam, we saw a pretty spectacular version of this with a government who can just say, well, jump, and everyone says how high, and it happens very, very quickly. We saw a different version of it in the Netherlands, two different versions, one in Limburg State and one in Eindhoven. Give us just a brief snapshot of what it looks like. I mean, so we have a workshop and everything, but what is the doingness of involving? We have the top folks and two of the major school structures, right? We have the superintendent of schools, Fairfield Community School. We have Bill and Nahum from the university. What does it look like for that triple helix or quadruple helix to actually be working together?
Yeah,
What's different about that?
yeah. So in the cases of uh, Bendong, so Eindhoven's concept of the triple helix bringing basically you might call it public-private partnerships in the United States as they do in Canada, but bringing together uh, all of the pieces in government. So your local government, you might have even state government involved if there's funding being discussed. Representation from the university and representation from the private sector. Uh, there may be citizens from nonprofits, and there might be others. Marg's a perfect example of that, and have them be a part of this. They would be a series of tables. Those tables are broken up into the triple helix or quadruple helix representation. The workshop would be mostly a co-design approach where the facilitator um, does a little bit of education and then drawing out what people at different tables are saying. There would be recommendations that might come from that process, but the auditor would also learn a lot by having visited, having met the people in their context, as well as hearing from the people at the table. What happens, and we did this in other cities as far back as 2016 in Bindong. It then evolved into further conversations, whether it's virtual or direct in situ. But basically, it's formalizing the different approaches. Eventually, a budget would have to be applied to different aspects of it. It could be that you might talk about, a startup ecosystem. It could be that you might have a green program that's part of this. It could be that you might have an AI and robotics program as part of it. Whatever it happens to be would then be taken one step at a time. We're currently doing this with one of the communities in British Columbia in the Victoria um, uh, um, area. We're doing something like that as well in a couple of other regions, but they're based on those models that you mentioned uh, as well. So it would look something like that. The report would hopefully go through a city council adoption process. Funding would be assigned to it, and different pieces would have a timeline that you would then see evolve from that. And there would also be a review at some point to see what the KPIs would be as a result. Obviously, you want to measure the results, and you'd report on them. And we would be there all along in that process.
John, do you see that as a whole city kind of strategic plan? Not city government necessarily, but as a whole city, bringing those people
Sure,
together. And
sure. I
then
mean, you might want to pilot it for various reasons, depending on what your particular thing is that comes out of the workshop. If it's project oriented and let's take one example. Um, if you have an AI and robotics component and you want to see that, how does autonomous vehicles and robotics work in your community? And is it part of the evolution of Fairfield and Jefferson County? You would pilot it as large a pilot as you can make it happen. As for a broader strategy for the community at large, to create an intelligent community approach that involves the city at large, again, it depends on whether your areas of focus become community development, which might be neighborhoods and districts and so forth. It might be cultural development. It could be economic development. So all of those things will have a citywide approach to it or a very district focus, depending on where you come out with this particular strategy.
And what are we talking about cost? We always have to get down to the dollars for a
I
workshop.
knew that Mayor Connie would come up with something like that.
Yeah, I was wondering when that was going to pop up.
Well, it depends. A simple workshop could be in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, which would, and travel and accommodation for the auditor. These are not precise numbers. A broader strategy could be, something in the 20, 30 or more $1,000 approach, depending on how many times somebody has to come to town, what the magnitude of the program is. Is it for a small area or is it bigger? And does the state get involved? Does the whole county get involved? We would have to discuss that. There isn't a price tag that we can give you a price list and say, here's what it is. It's much more of a conversation about what your requirements are.
Okay.
This is Marg. Connie, I like your concept of a community-wide strategic plan, whatever you want to call it, because despite our best intentions, it feels to me at times like we still have silos despite our best intentions. So we have Main Street, Fairfield has a whole huge plan that the auditors for Main Street gave us. I don't know where we are in implementation of that. I'm sure you're working with that closely. Fairfield Resilient Action Network has goals. Our economic development Visit Fairfield or Grow Fairfield has ideas, but they seem to be all, and I'm sure the school district has ideas and directions that they want to go, and MIU. So it would be great if we could pull in the county and the city working together. Oh my God, what a concept. And if we could all just connect with one another at least one time and just be clear on what each other are doing so that we don't duplicate our efforts. And I think it could be very powerful. It might be difficult, but it could be very powerful.
No, just going back, Connie, to the simple workshop idea. A 2-day workshop, with 1 day of site visits and 1 day of tabletop workshop in a room somewhere, a half a day or so, and then have the auditor write a report to see where it could go. It's not a very expensive exercise. It's travel, accommodations. I don't know what Robert or one of the auditors would charge, but it would be a very small amount as a trial to see what comes of it. Happy to investigate that a little further and send you a note about that. Yeah.
Okay. I have one other question. In the very beginning, you mentioned social equity, and I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that, what that means to you, how you wanted that to take place. What I see in our community is we have people doing very well. We have this significant lower socioeconomic portion of our community. I'm just now getting statistics from our police department about mental health issues, and which Marg will be interested to know, and because we're on another group together specifically about mental health in our community and how to plug in and get resources here. So you know, and certainly there's a lot of people kind of in the middle that are doing okay and, you know, but more money can always help, right? So can you speak to that, how you envision that, how you, through this process, how that helps a community, I guess.
Sure. Well, the aspects of the aspects of social equity usually are related from an ICF perspective, from the point of view of digital transformation and how to make sure that everybody is able to participate in one way or another. It depends on your community. For instance, I'll give you an example. And it's through these examples that sometimes we share those best practices and approaches. So Winnipeg, Canada, Intelligent Community of the Year a couple of years ago, they have a problem with their indigenous population. In the United States, you would call them Indians. We're not allowed to in Canada. We refer to them as indigenous communities. And as a result of helping them, the university and the community have developed uh, opportunities for the indigenous communities to participate in the digital world. The reason for that is they can't get jobs unless they apply through a computer. And it's very difficult for some of these people to even either have access to them because they may be homeless or they may not actually live in the city. They may live in a reservation somewhere, but they come to the city to look for work, and then they wind up, hanging around and trying to find a decent job because they may in fact have some talents, but they don't have any place to go to apply for these jobs. So they've evolved indigenous community centers that anybody can go to, but specifically to help them, train them in how to use digital devices, computers and smartphones and so forth, but also help them and train them in certain areas that can take them to that next job. Um, there are opportunities that we've seen in other communities that we then use as sharing best practices. So it's through that whole process that communities like yourselves become aware of what those best practices or opportunities for sharing are all about. And through the other communities that we have, more than 200, and examples that other cities that have not been recognized but who have been participants with ICF have shared with us. We have the library. We have the ability for people to gain access through our accelerator program and so forth. So it's these kinds of things that we help to build a connection to those who need it in those communities. And we hope that through that gives access to the digital opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have.
Great, thank you. That helps. Thank you.
I have a question if we have time.
Yeah, we got, we're gonna wrap up in a few minutes, but
I actually have to head out right now, so I'm going to jump. But thank you very much, Bob and John, for putting this all together.
Same here. Thank you. This has
Bye,
been
Stuart.
really inspiring and excited to look towards the next step. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Bill.
So this question, John, is actually intended to help us come back kind of 20,000-foot view. So
In the home, can you speak up a little louder? It's
yes,
hard
I
to hear
can.
you.
I was saying this question is meant to bring us back 20,000-foot view. So for those of us who've been with you, John, in Vietnam or the Netherlands, there's a certain experience that we got that is hard to describe, and that's why we're trying desperately to bring people to some of these delegation events, whether in Ohio or what have you. Now we've been on the journey, the ICF journey, for about 3 years, right?
4 years.
4 years. All right. 4 years. So I want to ask you a question through an analogy, John. Let's imagine you were our trainer. Okay. Let's imagine that we were your clients in a gym. Over the course of that time, how would we know if we were progressing in the right way? That's to say, you talked about this program we could build after a workshop, right? And I think that's the analogy is like it's a workout program with a clear goal of where we want to get to. So over the course of that time, how would you say Fairfield has progressed? And I can make it more specific if that's not specific enough.
No, I mean, I think when Paul recommended you go forward, there was a reason why Paul made that recommendation. And from what I've gathered, I've never visited your community, but I've had a chance to look at materials and virtually experience a little bit of it. My sense is that because you've gone through the process of an assessment, the Smart 21 recognition, where hundreds of auditors and communities have competed and looked at it, you've advanced to a Smart 21 so that you have gone through a competitive analysis on a global basis. And one year you actually made it to the top 7. So those are measurements that you can take to the bank. Going forward, though, the question is, you didn't make top 7 this year. Okay, not to say that you're any worse than you were, last year, but that the world is constantly evolving. Communities are joining in and competing, and it sometimes depends on which year you apply. And it could be that next year you do hit a top 7 in addition to the Smart 21. So these are measurements. KPIs can be other things. Investment attraction. It could be that you have, coming out of this workshop, you have an investment attraction goal. And part of the VIP delegations isn't just to go and look at best practices and share what you're doing. It's to actually begin to connect with opportunities in those communities. Now, does ICF do lead development? No. There are professionals who do lead development, and it's very expensive. I used to head up several large organizations for cities and regions to attract investment. And now those guys, they will charge you $50,000. Thank you very much for, 7 or 8 or 10 really good leads. And they help you get those. We are at the stage where we can introduce you to different opportunities in the communities that we travel in. So Paul and his fellow organizers in Columbus will create opportunities for you to be connected to startups, to situations in the various communities that you're going to visit, where you may make a contact for investment attraction or for partnerships, and so forth. So it depends on what you come out with in this, say, workshop or assessment. So you'll have goals, and you would have measurements to those goals. And as a trainer, we would encourage you to go after certain goals, certain aspects of those goals, and here are the ways in which we as ICF can help you. But if we cannot help you, we'd be the first ones to tell you we're not the ones. But here are some others that you can connect with within our community who can maybe help you. And if they can't help you, we will be the first ones to say, now you need somebody outside of our sphere. And so that's what we would do, like any trader would.
Great. Thank you
That's
so much,
great.
John.
So it is 1 after the hour. John, we so deeply appreciate your time and expertise. This has been a terrific conversation. And I think we've got some things to chew on, and we will talk amongst ourselves, and we'll be back. But thank you again, and thank you all for participating.